this is not the best version of the future that we have provided to the youth for whom Whitney was singing about in her song. As of right now, and the baton that will be passed to them, it is entrenched in COVID-19, racial uprisings that look like Jim Crow 2.0, global warming, police brutality, which has been captured on social media, and a Capitol storming, which hasn't really happened since the 1800s. That said, what if the next right thing, the next best thing we could do is be brutally honest with our young people that we're leading, or the people in community that we're leading, and say, I have no idea what I'm doing. All of this, my fault. I am petrified. And by the way, I don't really have a plan. But I'm going to convene space, and together we're going to heal ourselves, each other, and we're going to figure it out. What if that's the next best thing, right? I had a conversation with my 14-year-old, and I wanted to share a snippet of it with you. Listen to it. Drop some comments below if there's some thoughts that are percolating, and let's figure this out. Okay, so I'm Kim Braswell here with London Braswell. And I was mentioning that we had a conversation just about, well, we have conversations all the time about everything that's happening in the world and the country, Black Lives Matter, and all of the things in between. And one of the things that bothers me is we have so many adults talking about everything happening in the world, and we're supposed to be like leading everything. But we're not really asking young people what they think or how we can better support them. And I know that with COVID too, this has been really difficult year for you as a student and all the things. So can you share your experience that you said with the class, you know, with that moment, and like maybe what the teacher could have done to be more supportive?
Okay, so I think around the time when terrorists were storming the Capitol, the day after, some of my teachers wanted to discuss it. Of course, with it being different perspectives due to different kinds of people. Of course, I had 2 white teachers, and they tried their best to be as neutral as they could about it, because it's a school setting, and I believe that teachers are supposed to be professional about it.
Well, not share their political views.
But when they were discussing it, I think when we were discussing it and how it made us feel, I tried to give as much insight as I could on how the kind of perspective it would leave on the public, and how it would be different if it was Black people doing that, rather than it being white people that did it, if it were different.
What do you think would have happened if Black people had stormed the Capitol versus white people?
Easy. Bunch of dead Black bodies everywhere. And they would all be seen as enemies. But of course, because it was white people, although everyone is still disappointed in how it turned out, you see there were police taking pictures with the terrorists rather than actually doing stuff about it immediately.
So how did you feel about everything?
I was hurt, I was scared, and it made me of course I was scared because nothing like that happens. And it's one of the first times for that ever to happen.
The Capitol hasn't been stormed since 1812.
British people. And with experiencing all of that in 2020, it made me realize that with all these firsts that we're experiencing, I had a profound moment where I realized that we're experiencing history right now. And when we were discussing it in my class, I think my teachers tried to explain it lighter than the situation actually was. Perhaps to protect the students' emotions so that they wouldn't feel stressed out, but to explain such a situation, such an important and extreme situation, and set it off so lightly just to protect students, and make it seem like something that it wasn't.
How did that make you feel?
It felt like they were, in a way, misleading us. And I understand why they would do that, to protect the students.
How could they have done it better? Or what would you, if you could have had the adults in that space show up, whether it's teachers, family members, whatever, if adults were doing a better job talking with kids your age about everything that's happening right now, how could we do a better job? How could we do a better job of supporting y'all or having conversations with y'all?
It's a difficult question because in these times there's not a lot of idea on what people can do. I think the best thing teachers and adults in general could do right now for students our age is take our perspective with a grain of salt.
Say more. What do you mean?
I know that a bunch of students have a bunch of different coping mechanisms because we're all reacting to this differently. And a lot of times because of how, I guess, teachers can see it, I guess, we might be seen as overreacting or we're doing too much or we're not reacting to this in a way that we should. When I think it's important for them to support us and to understand that these times are scary, especially when you're not an adult and you have no idea what people who are older than you, and even people who are older than you, don't know what's going on.
Do we look like we don't know what we're doing? Is that scary?
Very. When you're looking up to the people who are helping you grow up and helping you become closer to independence and growing up, when you see people who are helping you become an adult and they don't know what they're doing, it's horrifying because you feel like if they don't know what they're doing, then something's wrong or your adulthood could be prevented from happening.
Oh, like you're not safe. How will you make it? Yeah. So you're saying, what I hear you saying, tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the things, or maybe the first thing I hear you saying, and which requires more conversation, is at least in the immediate, what we can do is if you're really afraid, instead of minimizing your emotions about being afraid, to better support you and to treat your feelings of fear as valid feelings and maybe help to give you ways to express yourself.
Yeah.
Would that help?
Because in these times, I know a lot of teachers, instead of trying, and maybe they are trying, they're trying their best that they can, but I feel that instead of what at least I'm going to assume, and this may not be completely accurate, but from what I can tell from what I've observed, a lot of teachers through these times have been trying to, in a way, I guess, pass off everything and ignore
like brush it off, yeah,
and trying to make things normal when things are normal. And of course, with students who aren't used to these kind of situations and who are very scared, it doesn't seem likely that they'd be able to do the normal stuff when all of this is going on. So it puts a lot of pressure on them, and they are thrown with a lot of stuff that they don't know how to deal with, and to put normal stuff on them that they can't handle in this abnormal environment is chaotic for their brains, and they wouldn't know how to deal with it or function.
So you need us to be honest that, like, this is not normal, this is scary, and we'll get through it. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Young people dropping dimes. Thank you, Lennon Braswell. I'll try to do a better job at listening. All right, thanks. Y'all heard it. Listen, support them.
Support them.
You mean support us?
Yeah.